Hey, what's going on, Facebooks? How you doing? It's your man Lafe Taylor, waiting for my dude JKev to get on. Said he was ready, so let's see how long it'll take for him to get on here. Hopefully, we'll have some viewers tonight because it's March Madness and people got the bug, so they're probably watching games. So we'll find out. There's my dude JKev right here. Let's see if we can get him on here. What's up, bro?
What up, bro? Lafe, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, yeah, you good? You good?
Yeah, the March is maddening out there. It's madness March out there. It's maniac madness. Move, get out the way, March out there. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff
Plus,
going
it's getting
on.
warm too, man. Plus, it's getting warm.
Plus, it's getting warm. So the peoples are out, which makes my job a little more difficult and adds a little headache to my job, to my day. Not headache, just some obstacles and some challenges, but that's okay because I know who I am, and in knowing who I am, I don't let that get to me because the person that I know I am, it's like, you know what? I'm this kind of guy, so I'm just gonna be like a duck and ride the waves. Enjoy the scenery, enjoy what's going on. Hey everybody, two shot guys in the mic. Your man Jay Kev Lafe Taylor here today. Just talking about this talking about this one thing when you know it, when you figure it out, when you continually think about it and cultivate it and hone it and own it with confidence, then it can help with your life as far as headaches, mitigating and keeping those the amount of headaches you have in check, and it can help you live a more meaningful life. And what am I talking about, Leif? I'm talking about knowing who you are and keeping your eye on that ball
Yep.
as you evolve and grow in life, and just keeping your eye on the core of who you are and your purpose and your mission on in this plane of existence while you go about participating and being
What's up,
active
Latanya? How you doing?
in the life that you've been given. Hey, Latanya, how you doing? Yeah, talking about knowing who you are in the purpose and the power, the empowerment that it's when they figure out, keep their eye on who they are at their core. It saves you a lot of trouble in life. And the earlier that you figure this out, the more meaningful a life you're going to have, and the more satiating and contentful life you're going to have. There's a lot of people that stroll through this life from cradle to grave with no clue. Just think about it. There have been what, billions of people that have existed on this planet, and
Oh,
most, I would say many, went to the grave not realizing the treasures that they have, not realizing who they are, their purpose, not realizing, uh, not being self-actualized, if I can borrow that statement or that concept from one of those psychologists out there. Um, not being fully self-actualized, and that's very important today. What kind of got me going on that trajectory, that kind of thought? Number one is, man, like Taylor asked me, "Who are you?" The other day, so I've been thinking about it. But then I had a conversation with somebody, and they decided to go back and get formal
what's up,
training
Dana?
so they can level up as far as getting that piece of paper saying that they've been certified and stamped by the
Yep.
system as being trainable and coachable in a particular area in their life.
Coachable.
To get yeah, that's all it is. It says this guy's trainable, he's coachable, he's brainwashable, and he'll do what needs to be done in order to move along in the system. So I was talking to
How are you
somebody
doing?
about that. They were going back to school to pursue something, and they said it was something that they knew that they were called to do. It was something that they felt like if they didn't do it, then they would not be fulfilling the role that that's tugging at their heartstrings. So with Lafe asking me that question and having that conversation, and then also I just recently listened to Plato's Republic the other day, just kind of doing some brain exercises as far as going through some long arguments and trying
Absolutely.
to break the mold of having that goldfish attention span. So if you want to, exercise your brain and strengthen your mental thought, sometimes it's good just to take a break from the social medias and just kind of delve into some things. It's going to force you to stretch your thinking. So I was thinking about that, and in the book, Plato stressed the importance of knowing who you are and what you are. And I forgot why I liked it so much, but it's a very good book in that he exposes the system of control that has been handed down throughout the ages.
Yep.
Plato's Republic, he gives the whole blueprint, and it's very important when it comes to understanding the structure of the Western culture, the Western world that we live in today, as far as pyramids and people, and how people are to be herded and maneuvered. And so it's a very good book out of all the other many books out
Such
there
a
that
gift.
kind of exposes the system. Hey, Takia, but when you learn about the system and you learn about who you are, then it helps you as far as maneuvering inside the system and with respect to human activity and knowing who you are and your purpose. And it also helps you as far as maneuvering on the outside of the system. You can jump in anytime, Leif. I can,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whenever you
I'm
want
just
to.
checking the streams, making sure that they're flowing well. Yeah, man. One of the things about knowing who you are, and it's very important, like Kevin said, in terms of maneuvering through a system, but also it's very
Yes,
important for you to remind yourself on a consistent basis, right? We always talk about
yes.
the whys and the whats, and who you are may change, from time to time. Like, today I may be
I
a
hope it
carpenter,
does.
tomorrow I may be a mechanic, right? And so you will, I don't even want to say evolve. Sometimes you'll just move in and out of different narratives of who you are and what your purpose is and what you're striving to be. And so
There are
I
many
pose.
chapters in your story of your life.
Oh yeah, and that can be, it can be very fluid at times as well. It's like when I'm focused on art, I'm an artist. When I'm focused on business, I'm a businessman. And so, but you encompass all of those different things. And also the one main important thing about it is once you've identified who you are and who you want to be, then you can get rid of a lot of waste and stress. You can just like,
Yes.
okay, I know that I am not I'm a garbage man, right? I know that that's not my calling in life. I know that I never want to do that. So guess what? I can just mark that off my list. So if an opportunity comes up for me to do that, I can easily say no, right?
But we're gonna
And
pay you
and
20
so
bucks to be a garbage man, Leif, man. That's a lot of money, man. 20
yeah,
bucks an
but
hour.
again, knowing who you are and what your end goal is, all of it's encompassing, right? It's not just one aspect of it. It's not just like, you're just eating vitamins all day every day and not eating food, right? So
Right.
when you start thinking about who you are, it's part of what you do on a daily basis. It's part of what you get your skill sets up to do. You mentioned somebody, acquiring a certification, those kinds of things. It really helps navigate you through this life, and really start narrowing down your field of vision in terms of the things that you want to do, as opposed to the things that may come by you. Because the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that opportunities are always available, always. And so if you've decided that you want to go down a set path and somebody brings you an opportunity somewhere else, then do you deviate from your path to go chase all of these many various opportunities? Or do you stay, resolute in knowing who you are and focusing on that end goal? And so it eliminates a lot of confusion in your life, knowing what it is you want to do and why you want to do it, because like I said, there's all kinds of opportunities available. I mean, we're on the internet now. We say this a lot. So you can just scroll. I can get on the internet and find an opportunity right now, and whether or not I chase that opportunity is really dependent upon me knowing who I am and what my end goals and my purposes are.
Yeah, that was one of the benefits that came out when I started really thinking about the concept that you threw at me. Is
Yeah.
that, like you said, it mitigates and it alleviates me from a lot of stress as far as the opportunities and some of the open doors that one may see and want to pass through. It's like,
Yep.
no, that's not who I am at my core. That's not gonna really fully satisfy me. And I know if I pursue it, then my life won't be as meaningful as it should be or could be. So knowing who you are at your core, knowing, understanding your temperament, your personality, understanding those things about you as far as uh, your position spiritually. I mean, some people believe that they come from rocks, and some people evolve from rocks all the way up from single cell to rocks
Yeah.
to apes. Yeah, some people believe that, and others believe no, I was created by a creator, and made me a person, a human being, and I was made in His image. So depending on what you accept at your core, then that's going to determine your values, and it's going to determine how you feel and how you think, and ultimately it's going to determine your action and your behavior in
Yep.
life, which is going to determine, it's the chain that determines your legacy and determines what you leave after you pass on to the other side. So it's a very important question that we have to constantly, consistently, with diligence and perseverance, pursue on a frequent and regular basis. Because if you don't, there are plenty. The world is filled with so much distraction and so many sirens that are beckoning for your finite time and your finite energy, and they'll siphon it off. There's always somebody around waiting to siphon and steal from you in some way, shape, or form. So when you are aware of who you are, then you know what kind of narrative you want to participate in. Kevin does not want to participate in a drama narrative. He like Kevin does not want to participate in a horror narrative. Kevin wants to participate in the rags to riches narrative. That's the narrative I want to construct and participate in for my life as it's being watched by others. Like, I know that dude. He used to be rags. Now he's rich. Now he's wealthy. So that's the kind of testament that I would want to leave. Takia said, "Who you are is going to determine what is a big win in your life versus a negligible gain versus distraction." Yeah, like you
It's true.
said, um, it helps you if you let it keep your eye on the long game versus these short term games that one may get from just kind of going with the by their by their whims, or kind of just accepting just about anything, letting their values slide on the sliding scale versus having it be anchored and having it be absolute.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
also one thing to consider. What's up, Danielle? What's up, Delisa? One thing to consider as well is once you realize who you are, is it allows you to walk in confidence as well, right? Sometimes
man,
people
yeah.
don't want to claim what it is that they desire to be or what they know they are, right? You know, maybe you're an author or maybe you're something that you're currently not yet, right? She said, I know JKev, he's rich, but still raggedy. Silly. And so, but it allows you to walk in confidence. And again, you can only walk in it once you believe it yourself. It's easy to say, I want to be rich, But if you don't claim that that's who you are, or the narrative, say, you want to be a mogul, you want to be all of these different things that, these social media influencers
Only
tell people that
boss.
they are, right? They say that, but they don't necessarily believe it. They don't walk in it. They don't do the things
Yeah,
to set themselves up to be that. And so knowing who you are is one of those things that again is just focus, man. It's time, focus, and
amen, girl.
energy, and like you said, it's a limited commodity in our lives, and if we don't harness that in the right way, in the right direction, at the right times, and consistently, then we won't be those things that we want to be, and it'll be who we are only in our imaginations and not as a reality. So once you start owning that, and it's just like, the basketball tournaments we talked about, March Madness. If you don't believe that you are an elite basketball player, if you don't believe that you are that guy or that
Don't
girl or
step on the
whoever,
court. Yeah.
yeah, don't do it. Because again, all of it's psychology. All of this stuff that we talk about is psychology, and psychology helps you develop skills, and the psychology helps you not only practice but execute on those skills. Right? I was thinking earlier today. It's a deviation from the conversation, but I'll bring it back in. I was thinking about strength. Right? I saw it was a world class weightlifter, and he said, and I never thought about it before, but he said strength is a skill. And
Yeah.
most people think that it's like, oh man, that guy's strong, as if you just come strong overnight. No, it's a skill, just like everything else we do in life. It's a skill. It's something that we have to acquire. It's something that we have to work at. And so, if you want to be a world famous whatever, or maybe you just want to be the best writer possible, if you don't develop that skill, if you don't determine in your mind that that's what you're gonna be and that's who you are, then you'll never get there. And so the earlier you start formulating these things in your mind, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be, and this is what I'm being in the meantime. If you don't start doing those things early enough, then all you're doing is wasting more time and wasting more opportunities, right? And so you got to start putting in the work, you got to start putting in the effort, because everything is a skill. I was thinking about parenting. Somebody was talking to us about, she said, I hate when people tell me that my kids are good as if they were born that way. She said, no, I discipline them. I work at it. It's not just something that they just automatically do. And sometimes that when we do that, you know, we dismiss the effort that is part of becoming something, right? And so we have to start understanding that everything is a skill and everything takes time and work, and hard work at that, if we want to be good at it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Danielle said,
Yeah.
confidence is the edge that separates most winners. They believe so, they do. And that's true. And guess what else builds confidence? Is skill. And what builds skill? Time and effort. And so if you start understanding those things, and you start putting that in your mindset very early, then you can work on it, you can cultivate it. Like, we mentioned a lot that there's formulas to stuff. Speaking of
Yeah.
strength as a skill, what's up, Michelle? She's a power lifter. So it's all of those kinds of things that we really have to focus on, and cultivating those skill sets, so that we can, one, know who we are, and not only that, but we can walk in it. It's like I said, it's one thing to say I'm a great poet or I'm a great writer, and I've never written a paper in my life, or I've never written
Hmm.
anything down. I have to walk in it, and I have to practice it, and I have to hone it, I have to build it up, and so I can be extremely confident in that.
Yeah, you're talking about a point. I heard somebody say it this way. The guy who was in the documentary The Secret a couple of years back,
Okay.
and I listened to him talk, and he's like, "Yeah, that was good and everything," but he said there was one point that missed, and he
You gotta
called
get
it
up.
Goya.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta get up off your
Yeah, he got to get off. Yeah.
off your booty.
Get off your booty, yeah. And that's very important. Takia brings out, psychology plus community, meaning, you got to do the inner work, raise your self image, uh, deal with those thoughts and stuff. But at the same time, you got to get into a community and cultivate your environment
Yep.
that will help you Goya or get off your rear end. That that's one simple tactic that I grabbed from him, and then Takia brought up, just talking about being intentional and purposeful about your environment when it comes to whatever endeavor that you want to, whatever skill that you want to hone and practice that's in line with the things that you value in life. So, yeah, that's very poignant and on time with that. And she said, becoming who you are designed to be is a skill.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a skill that had, like, once again, like we pound on a lot, is that this is something that you have to consistently and diligently work on, because all it takes is all it takes is a few misses here or a few distractions there, and the next thing you know, you've fallen off the scene. Um, Another tactic that I've learned over time is to write things down and continually think about it and ask yourself the question on a frequent basis, and this will help you forge and solidify convictions even when you don't feel like it, or even when you may find yourself off in a rut for a minute. One small example is I'm years ago, I made it a decision. I made a decision about sleep, and with respect to pursuit of business endeavors years ago, just because of how things transpired in my life.
Yep.
So I just made a big point on that. And sometimes when I deviate from that, I think subconsciously things automatically go back into line with uh, convictions that I've honed and cultivated over the years. So just like it took me time to get into it, well, it doesn't really take you a long time to get out of it. That's one of the things about life,
Oh yeah.
It's real easy to get distracted off the path, but it's hard to get back on it sometimes. So just writing it down. Uh, re- Another thing we talked about as far as a simple tactic is using visualization, visual vision boards, speaking to yourself, and just kind of getting around good people, a good group, good tribe.
And
Listen
tell
to Two
people.
Shy Guys
Yeah, tell people about
on
it.
replay. Tell tell people, and pretty. If you one thing about people is they don't let you forget. You remember when you said such and such,
Yeah, that's again.
So
That's why you do it is for accountability. Uh, like I said, I like the motor axon thing is all or nothing. So that's kind of how I try to do certain things. Is one so I can hold myself accountable, and it's a good thing for you to do. Because again, sometimes people shy. We often shy away from the things we're not 100% sure about. And so when you
yeah,
put it out there, there's an accountability that you have to hold yourself to. And like you said, if you do it often, then people expect certain things from you. And so if you don't have, a lot of times some people go to schools simply because they have an accountability to the professor, right? Because again, all information is attainable right now. What's up? What's up, Daniel? How you doing, bro?
what's up, Daniel?
So it's like all information as of right now, as far as I'm concerned, I guess without top secret clearance, certain things you can't find, but you can probably find those too, are available through the internet. Every last bit of it. MIT, they got their pretty much their whole curriculum up online, right? And so it's not a matter of attaining information; it's a matter of being accountable to attain that information sometimes. So that's why you get a trainer. That's why you get a coach. That's why you have a professor. That's why you pay to go to school. That's why you do a whole lot of different things, right? And so another way of I guess life hacking that is put it out there on a regular basis, right? Tell people who you are, what you do, and and then they'll start questioning you like, hey man, I heard you said you were gonna do such and such. Did you do it yet? Nah, I ain't, it's like, oh, okay. Because if you
Are
put
you
it out
selling
there
wolf
often
cookies,
enough,
huh?
people have expectations. And so, some people try to avoid expectations from others. They try to avoid commitments. And so, one again, a life hack for that is to put it out there, and not only that, it it can give you a certain kind of confidence knowing that you're accountable to something. It can actually put enough pressure under you to execute and perform. So I know like doing the show is an example of that for me, right? I like to do things publicly, even though I don't like to do things publicly, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
again, it's just an extra accountability to the type of things that you need to do. And also not only that, but it builds community and it builds effort. You'd be surprised how many people actually want to help you accomplish your goal. But if
Yeah.
you don't put it out there, if you don't put out there that, I want to be this, I'm trying to do this, then you'll never get those, introductions to the people that you need to be introduced to. You'll never get, some advice, right? I remember I told a guy, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to do this thing with construction, blah, blah, blah. Oh man, me and my family, we did that for years. This is what you need to think about, right? And so you never know. And I learned this years ago when I was doing a magazine launch. I first time I ever did one, and it was like, this was years ago because the internet, Facebook is not what it is. It's actually what made me get on Facebook, to be honest.
Dang.
Yeah, this was back in 2007. So you're talking about 12 years ago. And, I asked my friend and he was like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you set up a page, blah, blah, blah. And I was so determined to get this magazine out because there was a story behind it that I had to push. And it was really just for that one story. And so I put it out there and I literally told little kids. Yeah, I know it sounds stupid. I told little kids, I told everybody that I could, and without any type of viral, I don't even know if viral videos were around then. So I was able to, over a period of a weekend, get 19,000 people to download this
Whoa.
magazine that I had on this rinky-dink site that I made with iWeb, because I wanted to get this story out. I was able to get it picked up in the paper. I got it picked up in the paper twice. We made the cover of the local paper and a variety of different things. And we had a team of people that actually just helped because I just put it out there. I put it out there. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to go about doing it, but I knew that I needed to get it done. What's up, cuz? So I put it out there, and then I got community buy-in because of it. And so what I'm saying is, when you want to really commit to something, put it out there, make it public. Yeah, I don't care about showing my age. I'm good with it. So you put it out there, and you'll be surprised at the people that will rally around you to help you accomplish the said goal. Like I said, if you want to be an Olympic swimmer and you've never went to the swimming pool, then you got a problem. So so you got to put that
Mm.
out there to get people like, hey, do you know how to swim, right? And it's like, oh, well, no. Here's another life hack. I'll throw this out there because I found out from a friend. If you have kids and they don't know how to swim, sign them up for lifeguard classes and they'll teach them how to swim at an elite level. So there you go. Yeah, that's a quick life hack. Uh, See, Takia said, I think people shy away from public commitment because they are afraid to restructure their affairs in public. But that's the thing, though. That's the problem. A lot of us are afraid, period. We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to be committed to a certain thing. We're afraid of our inadequacies. We're afraid of failure. We have all of these fears. And so when you start making public declarations of things, yeah, people will call you out, that kind of stuff. But one, it'll help you overcome your fears. It really will. It'll help you overcome your fears. And also, if you have any, the word gumption, if you have any gumption about you, then it'll make you step up in places where you haven't been. Because the other side of fear is it's like, okay, I don't want to look like an idiot, so I guess I better study. I guess I better get my skill set up. I guess I better do a variety of different things to set myself up for success instead of looking like a failure, right? But I don't even care about looking like a failure personally. But anyway, it's those kinds of things that we have to start thinking about so we can start doing it. Because again, the thing that holds us back from being who we are or who we're designed to be most of the time is fear that's in our own head. We talked about psychology earlier, right? It's our own fears, our own psychology. It's all these different things. Yeah, rejection is real. It's all of these
Yeah.
things that are in our head that we're held to. It's just weird. It's a weird dichotomy, right? Of a duality of life. It's like I have what people really think and what I think people think, you know, you know,
Yep.
and then we struggle with that, and then it holds us down. And it's like, you know what? Who cares what some of these people think? Because chances are they're not thinking about you the way you think they are, you know.
Nope.
And so it's a rejection can also make you have a great comeback. And that's the thing. It's funny. I saw Danielle earlier today, and before I saw her, I was listening to a story. No, this was after I left the meeting that we were at, right? And it was about Haman's noose. I don't know if you remember the story about Haman's noose and Queen Esther, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so Haman, I'll give you a quick lesson. So Haman, he basically was part of King Ahasuerus' court. Queen
Yep.
Esther was related to Mordecai, which was her distant cousin. You know, he was a Jew. He was pleading. Mordecai was pleading with Queen Esther to help her people. You know, they were in captivity, so on and so forth. So Mordecai,
Because of Haman.
yeah, and so Mordecai, he used to sit at the king's gate, all of these kinds of things. So the king one night, you know, he couldn't sleep. You know, God, you know, made him restless to where he couldn't go to sleep. So he was up thinking. You know, he was reading the annals. He had the people read the annals to him, and it's like, oh, you know, he came across a thing that you know Mordecai actually stopped an assassination because he had, you know, sitting at the gates, he heard that people were plotting to kill the king, so on and so forth. The king was like, "What have we done for him?" I know I'm talking fast, but I'm just trying to get through it. So, you know, the
Mm.
king was like, you know, have we done anything for Mordecai? He was like, no, we haven't done anything. He said, okay, we need to do something for Mordecai. In the meantime, Haman was excited that he was able to sit at the king's table. You know, he was invited. He wanted to go tell his friend, but he hated Mordecai. He hated him with a passion.
He hated Mordecai and he hated the Jewish people
Yeah.
traced back to what had happened to him and his people
Yep.
year
And so
century or generations ago. Yeah.
so he hated him so much, you know, and then anyway, if you know the story, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. At the end of the day,
It's a good
Haman.
story, man. You might want to take your time with the
No, I
story,
ain't taking
man.
no
It's a
more
good
time with it.
story.
I'm trying to get to who you are. So,
Okay.
so anyway, so Haman hated Mordecai so much that he wanted to, you know, they call it Haman's noose because he set up this contraption to kill Mordecai, and at the end of the day, that very contraption was set up to kill himself. And so he
Yes.
set up his own demise because of his hate and his envy toward that. Anyway, the reason why I went there, she talked about rejection, you know, setting for a great comeback, you know, being that the position of Mordecai and his people and all the things he was trying to do, he was actually elevated because of his diligence. One, he was always at the
Yes.
king's gate, and he was like he had a real heart for his people. So even despite of what everything looked like, his the term, you know, he actually had a comeback in terms of he was elevated. Queen Esther didn't get killed, you know, for making demands of the king unanswered. You know, I'm sorry, when she wasn't summoned. Right, if you go to a king and they don't summon you, then
That's
you can get killed,
yeah.
queen or
Yeah.
no queen, it don't matter who you are, right? So anyway, so I just wanted to touch on that great comeback. And also my wife would she had a quote earlier today, and that was very pretty much what she said. She said sometimes rock bottom is the very thing that'll catapult you to the
Launch.
mountaintop, right? It'll launch you to the
Yeah.
mountaintop. And again, going back to knowing who you are, right? And this is really what I wanted to get to. Going back to knowing who you are, uh, it doesn't matter about humiliation. It doesn't matter about the rejection, because if you know who you are and you know that you have to work to get there, all of that stuff is guaranteed to come anyway. It's guaranteed to
Yes.
come. There's going to be missteps. There's going to be what perceived failures, because they're not failures unless you stop, right? You haven't
They're
failed
learning.
unless you stop. And again, you don't even know what those setbacks are actually doing. They're really just learning lessons. Life is a big learning lesson, right? It's an acquisition of skills. And so until you know, if you don't stop acquiring those skills, you really haven't failed. You're just figuring out ways not to do something. You know, Formula 409, right?
Man,
You're just figuring out new
that's the
ways
quotable.
that you shouldn't have, that you should avoid doing something. And so and another example, I was talking with somebody on Facebook earlier in my inbox, and it's like, man, it's like you're just a wealth of knowledge. I was like, no, it's not that I'm a wealth of knowledge. I've just been around the corner a lot, you know, been around the block a lot, quite a few times. So I've seen these things. So it's not like, that I'm all this all wise person. Like, no, I've tried these things before, and this is what worked, and this is what didn't work. And so, and again, just knowing who you are and having the confidence and the information and the skill sets that you gathered, you can go off and do a variety of different things that you may not have done before, but you've done similar things that have set you up for success. I was talking to somebody else, right? She said, right, trials, tribulations, and struggles are part of the
Struggles are
overall
part of the
victory.
overall victory.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the gym. That's the gym of life. It really is.
That's the formula for a great narrative.
Yeah, all of it.
Character,
All of it.
conflict, and
All
then
of it. It is.
resolution
That's
every
what I
day.
said. It's not separated. This is not vitamins, right? Was talking with somebody else after that meeting that I left from the meeting that I saw Danielle at. I was talking with somebody else, and they was like, "Yeah, she works with kids. This particular person, and she was like, kids, they think that they see a job pop up that they're going to acquire the skill set overnight and apply for that job. She's like, no, the reason why I'm in the position I am is because I went through school. I spent all those years doing this. I spent all these years doing that. So when a job became available in my particular that my skill set could fulfill, I could just apply. Is it didn't happen overnight? It happened over time, and
A
so
30-year overnight.
yeah, and so it's the same thing of knowing who you are and putting in the work and the effort to accomplish the goal of becoming who you are meant to be. And so that's really the whole gist of all of this is once you have in your mind of what it is that I don't even want to call it a goal, it's a life mission, right? Once you have it
Yes, I'm
in your
glad you said I
mind,
was thinking that.
yeah, what your life mission is. And again, this can change over time because as you acquire new skills, as you acquire new information, it changes and molds the very thing that it's like, okay, there's some nuances to it, but you don't know until you start doing it, right? And so the more nuances you start, the more wrinkles you add to the brain, so to speak.
Yep.
The more wrinkles you start adding, then the more detail that you can get and the more pinpointed you can get in terms of determining who you are and what you're going to be. And so
And the bigger your reach, the bigger your
yeah,
impact.
all of that.
And that
And you
brings
don't
with it
even
a whole new set
yeah,
of
and you
problems.
don't even know when that's going to happen. You have no idea. Uh, one of the people that I talk about is Vera Wang, right? She's real popular. I don't even know what she makes. I don't know.
Fashion.
Yeah, she's in fashion. I don't know if she makes shoes, dresses, or purses. She makes one of those things, right? But anyway, I know her like she was real big years ago. She might be big now. I have no clue. But what I
Yeah.
do know is that she didn't start her career until she was 40. She didn't start until she was 40. And so that's one of the things that we have to start understanding is that there's always opportunity and time to change the narrative. There's always
I'm glad you hit that
go
because
ahead.
a lot of older people and a lot of younger people too think that if they don't accomplish something within, what they deem you know, a year or so,
Yep. What's up,
you're
Trey?
you're hitting on something that when it comes to mastery, it takes serious time. I was listening
Yeah.
to Marie Folio talk, and she was like, "I just didn't wake up and get here. I spent time in the trenches, not taking showers for 3 days, hammering out
Yeah.
online, content, and just being at it. Working side jobs, and just this stuff just doesn't happen. I've made certain decisions. This is her talking. I've
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
certain decisions in my life to get to the level I'm at, like not having kids. Like I'm finding out a lot of these people aren't having kids that are at these levels, and it's like let me watch somebody who has kids and family and go,
Yeah, but here's the
you
thing: a
know,
lot of people do. So
yes,
it's like a lot of
yes,
people do. They have those things, and in reality, most of the time, that's what propels them to move forward. Uh,
yes, you're right.
and so and again, it depends on the mindset that you've cultivated. And that's even a cultivated thing. Going back to what Takia was talking about is, pursuing, getting the skills to pursue your life's mission is a skill in itself, right? And so these things happen with time, they happen with effort. And again, going back to that superpower, the consistency is a consistent thing. How do you change who you are mentally. How do you get over the fear of
What's up,
messing
Trey?
up? How do you get over the fear of sabotaging yourself? It just takes time. It just really does. And then once you've succeeded in one area, that can give you the confidence to move into other areas, right? And so it's just, again, it's skill. It's skill acquisition. And again, what I mean by skill acquisition is everything that you acquire along the way, that you learn, that you practice, that's skill. Whether it be mental resilience, that's a skill. Whether it be playing an instrument, that's a skill. Whether it be conversation, conversating with people, that's a skill. Whether it be parenting, it's a skill. Any pretty much verb we talk about is a skill behind it.
Skill.
You can't
Yes,
run
sir.
until you learn how to walk, right? And then think about kids that run. They bump their heads into every freaking thing that's imaginable until they develop the skill to realize that, oh, I need to move here. I need to run in a straight path. All of these different things are skill acquisitions. And so we have to start accumulating those things to help us become who we need to be.
Man, I was thinking about that earlier, talking about skills, and then what Takia said, the foundation.
Yep.
A lot of the areas that I go into, as far as my position is, I'm in a lot of these wealthy, areas where it's like, man, it took years for this couple or this person. I'm thinking about one specific couple that I did some work for, and they were like, yeah, when we bought this property, this neighborhood, this golf course wasn't here. Our
Yeah.
house didn't look like this. And if you see the house, is like, whoa, this is immaculate. How'd y'all? He's like, no, 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 no. We started years ago,
Yep.
just us two, and we made the decision to plant our roots here and to build a solid foundation for us to live the life that you see us living now. We
Yep.
just didn't it just didn't fall in our laps. We had to make a plan to lay the foundation over years and stay at it,
Yep.
nickel and dime, grind, do the things that it take. It just didn't happen by accident. It's with intention and purpose. When it comes to just about anything you want
Yes.
to accomplish in
Anything
your life,
worthwhile, right?
anything worthwhile, it takes time to lay that solid foundation. If you're building, a house on an unsound foundation, you might as well forget about it. All
Mhm.
it takes is a little bit of trouble, and Kevin's in the corner, balled up, crying. You know. So yeah, just remember that it takes time.
Yeah, and she said also it's important to mention this about skill. We have to break the cycle of believing certain skills do or don't have economic value. Yeah, and again, it's just going back to whether a skill has economic value is really mindset. All of it's mindset, and sometimes, like I said, you don't know what skill that you have picked up over the years will be very vital down the road. And so that's why skill acquisition is very, very important. That skills have edification and manifestation value. All of that. And again, mindset in and of itself is a skill. It's something that has to be cultivated. It's something that has to be worked on in a very, like you said, dictated way. So yeah, give an example. I can give some examples, but yeah, Takia, give an example of what you're talking about. One of the things that I always think about is kids always ask, how is math important, right? Or how is
Yeah.
history important? Or how is this, that, and the other important?
Yep.
And really, it's learning in and of itself is important. We talked about this how many shows ago? Like specifically, we talked about learning, lifelong learning, and those kinds of things, and being able to really glean information from the most simple of things. I always think about one of the things that I loved about the Bible. For myself, and actually, that's one of the things that actually catapulted me to start learning when I read the Bible. Like literally, it was the first one of the first. I'll say it's the first chapter book I've ever finished, and in its entirety. And one of the reasons why I remember when I read Proverbs, it was two different things that really solidified in my mind that, okay, this is what I need to do. It was Solomon, the book of Solomon, when he asked God for wisdom, and it was the book of Proverbs when it talked about wisdom crieth in the street, waiting for somebody to lay
Six,
hold over, right?
chapter 6 and 8,
And
six,
so
seven, eight.
and so it's just those kinds of things. It's like, information is all about us. It is really up to us to decipher that information, right? If I go outside and I see a bunch of guys on the street corner and they're sitting around just wasting their lives away, for somebody seeing that, they don't think anything about it. Somebody else seeing that is like, man, why are they wasting their time? Why are they wasting their life? And then, and it's just certain different things, right? It's those teachable moments that we have with our kids if you take advantage of it, because just about everything in life is a teachable moment, right?
Everything. Yeah.
And so that in and of itself is a skill. It doesn't seem like much at times, but to kid, you need to answer that question. But it doesn't seem like much at time. But over time, you start understanding that the value that is in that the value that is in seeing a situation and realizing that is working backwards. Like, okay, what happened in his life to put him in this position? I don't ever want to do what he did. I know for myself, seeing certain family members, I'm not going to say no names, but seeing certain family members literally made me go a separate way. It made me
Yeah.
deviate from the path. It made me want to not have the same cycle that I saw that was, being exhibited before me. And so, I thank God just to be able to see that, because it wasn't the same for everybody in my family, right? And so with certain
Yeah.
things that sometimes when you see it, it's like, you know what? I don't ever want that to be my life, ever. And it's because of the things that, how it affects other people and those kinds of things for myself. But anyway, I want to get back on track and talk about how that relates to knowing who you are, because it really does relate in terms of